the How We Build series of the Ghana Digital Product Awards. My name is Akwele Abena Okai, marketing lead for the Ghana Digital Product Awards. And yes, it's another day, it's another Wednesday for us to learn about how to build products in the Ghanaian digital product scene. So today we have a very special session. We have Mr. Sedem Balfour, and most of you popularly know him as the creator of curator of Code and Cocktails, but then he's so many other things and more. And especially he's a product manager. He's been in the product space for a very long time. Actually, he started building right from the university, so you can imagine how much of experience he has, and he's going to tell you all about himself and what he does. And of course, today's session, which is on the topic, the product team, who does what and why it matters. But before that, let me properly introduce the series. So we thought of this series as an educational storytelling series where Ghanaians anywhere, whether you're in the tech space or not, if you just want to learn about the product space, who is doing what in the space, the career path or the career opportunities in the space. And I mean, you don't have to be in Accra to leverage or get access to these educational tools. So this series explores how Ghana's most impactful digital products are conceived, designed, built, and grown. As you know, the Ghana Digital Product Awards is not just an awards platform, it's an advocacy. We are advocating for proper standards in people, processes, and teams in the Ghana digital ecosystem. And so you realize that the session is really broken down into very tiny minute pieces, which is very understandable for the general public, for students, for entrepreneurs, young professionals who want to understand the real stories, the challenges, and the lessons behind Ghana's digital growth. Last 2 weeks, for the December series of the How We Build, we spoke about from idea to app, how digital products are built in Ghana, and you guys loved it. You loved the sessions. The conversation was just all over. I mean, LinkedIn was just jamming with a lot of these conversations. A lot of people were tagging each other and all that. And Betty Eslika, product manager at Haptel, really did justice to the topic. And we learned about validating ideas the Ghanaian way, the fact that Ghanaians are very nice people, and we you can really understand how Ghanaian use products, not by what they say, not by surveys, but by how they interact with the products. We learned so many other things as well. But if you are joining us, just type in the comments where you are joining us from in Ghana, or wherever you're joining us from in any part of the world. Tell us the city you are joining us from, and let's just be interactive. Tell us the city you are joining us from. Okay. Samuel is saying that my sound, I hope that has been resolved. Okay, it has. Awesome. Tell us the city you're joining us from. Let's be a little bit interactive. You know that this is a virtual space, and we want to ensure that you are paying attention. I want to know that you are here with me, and for us to properly engage and have a very insightful conversation. So while you do that, I'll go ahead and let you be aware that this is a series, right? From idea to app. That is what we had last month in November. This time we are going to talk about the product team, who does what and why it matters. In January, we are going to have a conversation on getting people to use your app or platform. As you know, Ghana Digital Product Awards is not an isolated body. It's a platform by Insights Lab. By the way, Demo Fridays is happening next week. Demo Fridays is happening next week in Accra. Challenges Ghana, Adjoin Ghana. So you should definitely check that out. So how to get people to use your app is going to be a session that's going to be very interesting. And we're not just going to talk about Web 2, we are going to even dive into Web 3. It's just going to be an exciting one. And then in February is the month of the awards, which is we are going to talk about designing for everyone, making digital products easy to use. So we understand that the Ghana digital product space has been in existence for a very long time. We've had conversations with founders who have been in the space for a decade and over, and we've just been ideating on how we can properly document the stories that we tell. And so last 2 weeks, the Ghana Digital Product Awards launched the Ghana Product Insider on LinkedIn, which is a newsletter that is going to be available to the general public. At the same time, we are also inviting you, if you're in the digital product space and you are a writer, this is your chance to get a story featured in the Ghana Product Insider. More details on that will be shared as this session goes. But for now, let me go to the comments. Cecilia is joining us from Accra, Ghana. Hello, Cecilia. You're only welcome to the Ghana Digital Product Awards How We Build series. Samuel is also joining us from Ghana. Osmond Ampoma is joining us from Kaswa. If it's a city, yeah, you're in Accra, so Kaswa is not really a city. But yeah, I mean, Kaswa people sometimes regard us as a city, and we understand. We understand. Thank you very much for joining. Angelina is joining us from Pasadena in the US. Thank you very much, Angelina, for joining us. So, at this juncture, I think it's right that we go straight ahead and hear from the man of the moment. Um, I have known Seda for a very long time, actually, and how we met is not a story for another day. But I know that Sedem has been in the product space. He is an expert at what he does, and he has built products for people to use. He has actually been in all the stages of the product management life cycle, if I can even put it that way, from designer to management to developer to management. And I think he is even more than that at this juncture. But like I said, I don't want to talk too much. I would like to let him introduce himself to us so that we can have a conversation about how we build the product team, who does what, and why it matters. And so I'm going to bring Sedem up on the stage. Sedem, how are you doing tonight? How are you feeling?
Actually, I'm doing very well.
Okay,
The
okay. That's
way
good to know.
you hype me up, and I'm actually very tired. I'm hoping I live up to expectation.
You will. I'm so sure that you will. I mean, we've had a conversation about just before the call, and I mean, I know that some of these things it takes a while to adjust, but yeah, I trust that you will deliver. And so at this juncture, I'm just going to leave you with your slides, and then the stage is yours.
All right. Thank you, Akrili. Thank you, everybody, for making time to join this session. I'm Sadem. Most people call me Sed. It's the same thing. I'm the lead for Code and Cocktails, and I've been dabbling in product management for at least more than half a decade now, since my university days. So I'm just trying to give us a little background about myself before we zoom into this. I did CS in the university, so computer science. So I've had the opportunity to be at the side, just like Aquile said, from being a designer to contributing to code, and eventually being a product manager, and currently pursuing business school because I consider myself now much more at the business side of things than the technical side of things. So yeah, just to start with, that's who I am. That's a little bit about me. So yeah, this evening we'll be taking a look at the product team, who does what, and why it matters. I'll try my best to break it down, and I'm actually looking forward to this. Forward to you guys asking some very insightful questions so that we can have some good conversation this evening. When I get excited, I tend to speak very fast. So if that's happening, feel free to drop comments. I'm sure Aquili will alert me so that I will slow down a bit. All right, then let's zoom into it. So yeah, what will we be looking at this evening? This evening we'll be trying to cover the following. We'll try to understand the Ghanaian product teams from the Ghanaian perspective. We'll talk about the core rules, who does what, and then we'll try to talk about the Ghanaian product team playbook, basically product team playbook for product people in Ghana, on our parts of our world. Then we'll talk about motivation, standards, and team execution. And then as well, we'll touch on career paths in the product team. And then we'll wrap it up with execution reality, the challenges we faced on ground when we execute. All right, and my slides are very scanty because this is going to be missing quite a lot, much more. So I have a few pointers here and there on my slides. So yeah, bear with me. All right, then yeah. So let's talk about understanding Ghanaian product teams. I initially added on stage the Momo on the slide, the Momo mandates and the accessibility reality. What are we trying to uncover here about understanding the Ghanaian product teams? When it comes to Ghana, which I'm pretty much sure is the same in every other ecosystem, there are some things that are quite peculiar to. Actually, can you confirm if my slide is now showing understanding Ghanaian product teams? I just want to be sure. Yeah, okay. In Ghana, when it comes to Ghana,
Yes.
just like every other ecosystem, there are some, practices that are quite peculiar to us as a people. Some ways in which we approach problems and how we try to solve problems. And we like to joke about this, but I always like to say that when it comes to Ghana, in our part of the world, accessibility is not just about dark mode. It goes beyond just dark mode. When we are building for people, we are talking about accessibility in our part of the world. The most important thing for us have to do with connectivity, internet usage, right? So whilst we build highly digital products or solutions in Ghana, one thing we always keep at the back of our mind in our ecosystem is to make sure we build in such a way that people that have the lowest, connectivity can still be able to access and use our services. So building in Ghana, if you are building something that you are trying to target the masses, definitely USSD is always like top of the mind. It's not an afterthought. After we build a solution that we expect to reach the people that are using high-end devices and are in urban centers, we go a step further to make it accessible to people in rural areas and people that don't have access to high connectivity devices and build on USSD. And of course, when you are building in Ghana and you plan on actually accepting payments, you you will be committing a sacrilege if your payment channels, mobile money, is not like part of the options involved, because in Ghana, Momo is not an alternative form of payment. It is the spine. It is the main thing. If you check the data, you realize that a huge chunk of Ghanaians actually do their daily transactions using mobile money. So if you are building in Ghana, you will be doing yourself a very great disservice by not actually embedding Momo as the primary way of actually accepting money in whichever way you want to do that. Momo is like a spine, and we don't build in Ghana without doing that. I can share quite a series of instances with you that products have been built in Ghana, right? That when it got payments, whoever is actually coordinating that didn't, consider Momo as an afterthought, and it was a disaster. They always have to look at it and, consider it as a primary way to actually build. So yeah, those are some of the few things that I feel are unique and specific to us in Ghana, in our ecosystem across Ghana, if you are building from Ghana. So that's like a primer into understanding the Ghanaian product teams and how we handle products in Ghana. I will not try to bore you guys with how we try to collect requirements and all of that, because if you were part of the first first of this series last week, you would have noticed that all of those have been covered already. So I'll try to stay in scope and then focus on the main thing that we are talking about today that has to do with the roles in product teams, and who does what and why they do what they do. Actually, I just want to confirm if I'm still audible and uh, if I can
Yes,
be.
you are.
All right, sure. One-sided conversation sometimes I'll be silent, so I just want to confirm.
That's fine.
All right then. So yeah, let's zoom into talking about the core roles in the product team and who does what. But I'm not a conventional person, so I think ideally you would have expected me to just dive right into, the roles we have in products and what they do. But before then, I did like to speak about the marketing gap, which eventually I'm realizing is not only a Ghanaian thing, right? So we have normally product teams. Throughout the conversation, along the conversation, I will take my time to explain what a product manager is, what they do, the designer in the team, what they do, the developer in the team, what they do, and the analyst and what they do. But then before that, there's this thing that product teams that normally do, especially startups, people that team companies or teams that are starting up, that we always consider marketing or put marketing as afterthoughts. We Most of the times, for people that are building, especially for the first time, marketing and sales is not always at the center stage when they want to build. So you realize that we have this scenario where during planning sessions, it's just the developers and the product managers and designers that in the planning session that are focusing on technical stuff and are much more interested in building technically sound and perfect products. But then eventually, these products fail to reach users. Then what's the point of building something if it does not get to the audience that you're actually building it for, right? So we have a huge marketing gap in the product team. That after this conversation, I'm hoping that all of us here that are product managers or aspiring entrepreneurs that will be building stuff would not make marketing an afterthought again, but will always consider, you know, adding marketing and sales at the early stages of planning. So let me tell you a quick story. Throughout the conversation, I'll do my best to see if I can share some anecdotes, like to actually solidify the points I make. So I'm about to tell you a real life story, short story of how we build a solution right here in Ghana without actually considering marketing and making it an afterthought, and how everything had to be relooked at again. So we sat down a team. I remember those days I was in the university. I was serving as a product manager on that team actually. It was an external team that raised money and then they were building. So yeah, we sat down, had architecture planning meeting. We have these meetings for design thinking. Designers got to work. We hired developers, and then all along whilst we were doing this, we were not actually, we know the audience we are building for. Audience is well defined and all of that stuff, but then we didn't include marketing and sales into the early stages of what we were doing. We were done building before we realized that whilst we were doing all of those, because we were not thinking in terms of selling or marketing whatever it is we were doing, we missed out to actually building growth levers like referral loops. So now we had the whole thing technically sound, but then it is not designed in a way that makes it easy for us to go to market. So we had to go back and relook at the architecture because we didn't want to slap on the marketing engine just like I wanted it to be part of the whole, the whole thing. So we had to go back and re-architect the whole thing, spend extra money, spend much more time before we get it done. It was a lesson that was very hard learned, right? So yeah, all I'm talking about is actually real life experiences that happened right here in our part of the world. So now I'll go into talking about the roles we have in the product team, the core roles, and who does what and why it matters. I will start from the most, the common one, the one that we all are quite familiar with when we talk about product roles or product teams is the PM, right? The product manager. The product manager is who I consider the architects. So in this analogy, I'll be breaking down the product team using the analogy of a house, of like building a house, right? So consider the product team about to build a house, like a complete house from beginning, I mean, from the plans, drafting, then working on the building itself, decorating it, and then making it fit for people to move into or live in, right? So in this case, the PM on that project is the architect. He's the one that is responsible for defining the why. He's the bridge between stakeholders and the product team themselves, taking up requirements from stakeholders and converting it into features that are efficient, and that's what the audience they are building for are looking out for or are requesting for, right? Then we go to the designer. So if we are talking about like I mean, I'm still in the house analogy concept. The designer is the one responsible for everything. I mean, interior design. You think about flow, right? Let's say you have a house. How do you move from, let's say, the kitchen to the living room to the bedroom? How would the interior be decorated or designed so that it feels like home, right? The person that's responsible for the experience, like how the user experiences. Sorry, the person that's responsible for how the user experiences the application, right, is the designer. And most of the times when we speak of experience, we think only of the interface, the user interface, what we can see. But experience goes beyond that. It's about how the user feels about the whole thing, right, from the beginning to the end, from where they are onboarded to using the features and eventually achieving the goals for which they are using your software. Then we talk about the developer, a very important, I mean, a very important set of people for the products group. After all the requirements are gathered, after every validation is done, after the design thinking sessions and colors are decided and interface is worked on, the developer ensures stability. The developer is the member of the team that makes sure whatever we are building can actually take on the load, right? I'm pretty much sure most of us on this call would have heard about scaling or scalability. You might have heard issues of, oh, an app was launched or like a product was launched, a digital product was launched, and then people started using it. And when the number increases, then the product can't keep up with the stress and then it's crashing here and there. Yeah. The group of people, the person responsible for making sure that when we build our product, they serve the need they are supposed to serve and are able to endure the stress are developers. They are very, very much important for actually ensuring the stability of whichever product it is that we are working on. Then there is a particular role that is not very common in the Ghanaian space, right? There's a particular role that's not common in the Ghanaian space, unless, of course, for people that are working in multinationals and banks and bigger institutions, that might have come across them. And for most institutions as well, this particular role does overlap with the PM, with the product manager, and that role is the analyst, right? I consider the analyst the surveyor. Whilst you are building, the market is not waiting for you to be done building so that they can just adopt your solution or product or whatever you are building. So somebody needs to be checking out to understand where the market is shifting and if what you guys are building are still in line with what the market needs. And that is the job of the analyst. Just that in our part of the world, for whatever constraints might be, mostly you find most product managers acting as the product manager and the analyst at the same time. But for bigger firms that have clear cut roles and the budget to actually, take care of all of this, analyst role is a very important role that we have like someone takes it up entirely as their job just to make sure whatever we are building is aligning with markets. We are not done building and then the market has, I mean, moved on from whatever it is that we are working on. And I'm sure for most of us here that are in product, we understand that we have the product, we have product cycle, right? Product life cycle. It's not a one-time thing. It's a work in product. So as the product goes through all the cycles, it is very important that we have someone that acts as an analyst to make sure as we are doing the changes, gathering requirement, doing updates, building new features, whatever it is we are doing, is in alignment with what the market needs so that eventually we can generate revenue, right? So that is it about the core roles we have in the products group and what they do. So I will continue by talking about uh, what we call the the product team playbook. Um, I couldn't fit all my thoughts on the slide as I said earlier, so just pay attention because there might be things I might be saying that currently, of course, you will not be able to see on my slide. I All I did was try my best to put up what I think are the most important things that I don't want you to forget from this conversation, right? So in the product team, right, for the in the product team, what do you want like a product manager to be doing and be doing right? One thing that product managers need is courage, right? Product managers really need courage because the one of the most common misunderstandings that we have that exist in the product space is what we call the yes man problem, right? Where the product manager in this case always have to say yes to the highest paid person's opinion, because for everybody that's here that's building in one way or the other, you will agree with me that for whatever firm you are building in, there is always someone that is like his opinion kind of like seem right all the time, because most of the times they are the higher paid person in the room. So we call this thing the shiny object syndrome, where uh, you know whoever is the highest paid person is always trying to find a way to bring on new additions like features. Let's do this one makes it look nicer, and most of those features you realize that they are nice to have, right? They are not considered must have features. A product manager will need to develop the courage to say no to this most of the time. But then you can't just say no to the highest paid person's opinion, right? Without actually backing it with data. So the best thing you can always do for yourself as a product manager, right, is to use data as a shield. That's the best thing you can always do for yourself. It's easier to tell a stakeholder or whoever you report to that, see, it's easier to tell them that what we are doing here and here, we are losing revenue, instead of just trying to actually argue it out emotionally. You can't push back against the highest paid person's opinion using your emotions. You need to come to the table with data. If you say that, okay, we can't do new features because we have basic functionalities like login bugs that need fixing, because we have people dropping off when during the user journey, you are actually making much more sense, and it's easier for the your stakeholders to listen to you than you arguing it out with your emotion, right? So those are some of the little things you could do to actually position yourself properly as a product manager, and most of the time focused on the most important things to build, without having to always be chasing the shiny objects that are not actually bringing any tangible, benefits or results of whatever you are working on as a product manager. From these conversations we are having, I'm pretty much sure by the time I get to the end of my presentation, you would appreciate, or you come to appreciate all that I'm talking about, because everything that we are talking about will converge at a particular end, and then you get a clear picture, right? So I'll move on to the next thing, that is talking about motivation, standards, and team execution. Motivation, standards, and team execution, it's very, very, very much important. I think for everything that is has cross-functional people, we are definitely going to have like different opinions, right? And that's okay, because we are different people. We see things in different lights. There's always this pressure in product teams to actually ship very fast, right? You have pressure from stakeholders to actually ship fast, because for them, they are looking at it from the business perspective. If you go to market by this time, maybe we might be able to beat these competitors. We might be able to deliver this fast and get these people to pay for our product. So as a product manager, you are always torn between trying to ship something that is technically sound, that has been given time and it is well executed, and then at the same time trying to churn out features very, very fast, or update very, very fast, to keep up with the market needs so that your company can generate enough revenue, right? So you are always skating on thin ice. But these are some things I think as a product manager you should uphold as standards that could actually keep your team together, that will enable you to ship as fast as your stakeholders want, right? And then still be able to build technically sound products with that can withstand stress and not start crashing when your user group increases, right? First things first, technical debt is one of the things that mostly you will not normally hear this being spoken about in product cycle. Maybe mostly around engineering, but technical debt is a real thing. So, what is technical debt? It's actually the little bits. I'll try my best to keep it as non-technical as possible. So it's those little bit of issues that we have whenever we ship a product or we do a deployment. Those little issues that we have that are not like currently breaking the app or system, but then they are annoying as well that we hold on to. Those are technical debts. Some of them is visible enough for you to see when you use the products. For some of them, they are architectural. So you could only experience them when maybe certain conditions are triggered and all of that stuff, right? It is always advisable as product people or like product managers for us to make some time and dedicate some time to fixing technical debt in order to prevent future crashes. Because for all we do, we are trying to build features that will make our applications or our products suitable for the audience that we are actually building it for. So what's the point in doing that when we accumulate a lot of technical debt only for us to now, get to a point where we are actually building a product that is actually
Hello, Sadam. For some reason, I've lost your audio. If you can hear me, yeah, kindly know that we have lost your audio. Yeah. So what I can do is I can bring you back on stage. Can you try speaking again if you can hear me? Okay. So
I'm
for some reason, we are unable to hear Sadam again. I'm going to try and notify him about about the audio. But if you currently have questions about the session, kindly keep them coming in the comment section. I think Sadam would like it if you are interactive enough, and we can work this out while we get Sadam's audio back.
Yeah, it's my audio back.
Okay, yes, it's back. It's back. Yeah,
Where
thank
did
you.
you guys lose me?
I think you were talking about, I think, the last pointer on the motivation part. Um,
Oh no, the first point, the technical debt. I just started talking about technical debt. Was that what you guys?
oh, okay. Yes. 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 Of
Yeah, yeah,
course.
yeah. So I just started talking about the technical debt, right?
Oh yeah.
So yes, I think can you remember exactly where you lost me. But the point I was trying to make about the technical debt
No.
is that as we try to add on new features, we keep on having little issues that we keep ignoring. But if we don't take care of them, eventually we might get to a place that our system of future app cannot will start crashing because it cannot we can't how do you call it, we cannot overlook those issues. Then I moved on to talking about documentation, right? Documentation is very important. I mean, to the average PM or like a normal PM, documentation is not a new thing. But as we all know, we are talking about a product team, so this encompasses the team. It goes beyond just the PM. There is this thing that we have mostly here in Ghana, if most people will agree with me, is that most of our developers find it very difficult to actually document stuff. So we have these circumstances or scenarios where we have the logic of a product existing in the head of just a particular developer or one or two developers that have not actually made any efforts to document this, right? So that the knowledge will be easily accessible to everybody on the team. Now, what happens when that person resigns or move on to the next team? You realize that we start having issues because the whole implementation, apart from the PRDs, for product requirement documents, and the how they call it, user stories that the PM has worked on, there are other sections of the app mostly that have to do with the architecture and stuff that have not been well documented. So the whole thing is sitting in someone's head. The moment they are out of the company, we start having issues. So documentation is very, very important. Is aside from PMs documenting, we should strive and do our best that everybody in the product team, from the designer to the developer, and if we have an analyst and even marketing people, if we can actually get our people to start documenting stuff so that we can democratize the knowledge base around whatever it is we are building, it is a very important thing that we should actually take very, very serious. Document, I don't know how much stress I can put on documentation, but if you're in a product team, make it important to make sure that whatever it is being done is actually being written down, so that one person does not end up becoming the center of knowledge. And in, if we have a situation where that person is not available, then we are confused or we don't know what to do next. Now let me talk about motivation. Motivation is very, very important. I think, was it Zig Ziglar that said that motivation is just as important as bathing, right? I don't know if I got that right. So it's something that people need every day in order to keep delivering at their optimal best, right? So I will share a small story with you guys about how motivation is very, very important and what motivation does for most people in a product team. So the primary motivator for teams in our part, I think this one is, I don't think it's a Ghanaian thing. Generally, even if you are talking about people that are not product people, but people in general, if the action of people, I mean, goes on to impact the life of someone positively, that is, and it's visible enough for them to see, they become very happy. The same thing applies to the product team. The same thing applies to the product team. So there's this developer that, I'm telling you a real life story. A Ghanaian developer just got a scholarship to go school in I think Edinburgh in Scotland, right? And then the team he was working on, that team has actually expanded or have expanded to a different region in Ghana, and it happens to be his home region, right? So when the application, what I'm telling you happened in less than a month. When the application got to his home region, I saw him posted on his WhatsApp status that he has finally made it in life because now his code is now being used by his village people. There's nothing that motivates people working in a product team than seeing their products solving real world problems and having real world impact on the users. That is the most highest form of motivation for people working in a product team. So as a product manager, you want to be sure you are documenting these wins, be it from if it's coming from reviews on the App Store or Play Store or wherever you guys are getting your reviews from. It could be an NPS, a score, a Net Promoter Score from your website or whatever it is. Make sure to share those little wins with your product team. It keeps them motivated enough to work on the next feature with zeal because they realize that whatever it is they are working on is actually solving a real life problem. Personally, for me, for products that I've been involved in one way or the other, when I go out and I pay for something or I search something and I end up using a product that I was involved in one way or the other, you wouldn't understand the level of pride I feel, right? There's nothing that comes close to that. So try your best to document the wins as well and share with the people or the people you work with in the product team. It actually helps to keep motivation and hope alive for them to have enough zeal to work on whatever it is that you guys are working on. So I will talk about the career paths that we have in the product team. If you check my slide, you will realize that I highlighted individual contributor gap, academia versus industry. I didn't actually even list out the career path because that's just something I can take you through. But these 2 pointers I have on my slide is something that I would really, really want to talk about, right? Especially with regards to the our own Ghanaian tech ecosystem. So for the career path in the product team, for most people, if they catch on early that this is what they want to do, they will start an internship in the university. That gives them the opportunity to work with a product team. For most product uh, managers that I know, they've once at a point have done something in the tech team that might not necessarily have to do with product, maybe like a data, something around data, something around design, something around writing code, at least at the beginning stages for most of the product people I know and interact with. Then from there, they probably would have taken, because in the university I did computer science, even though there are little bits of the curricula that actually teaches you stuff around how to manage product. There's not a particular course that's like directly speaking to, like the way we have software engineering for people that are writing code and they could learn about the software lifecycle architecture and all of that stuff. There's not something directly like that tailored for product managers in school. So most of product managers will go on to take courses on Udemy, will go to boot camps, and try to build products together with their mates or friends as well. You know, gather a team of developers, designers, then serve as the product guy, get the necessary user requirements, write the user stories, and try to actually, get themselves to do something practical. That's for the early stages. Then eventually they transition into the career where they will probably start off as an APM, an associate product manager, and get to work with someone that oversees them and guides their steps as like a product manager or a senior product manager. Then for the 1 to 2 years, they move on to become like product managers mid-level. Then eventually, for people that are very much interested in the product path, they continue to eventually become maybe either senior product manager, end up becoming a product head, or eventually starting off to build their stuff. There's this trend, if you notice very carefully, most product managers eventually end up becoming founders. For those that couldn't, go up the ranks and eventually become like a head of products in a company, there's a high possibility they will become like a chief product officer in a new startup or something that they want to build themselves. Right. Just to let you know, the current CEO for Google was a product manager at Google, if that gives you an idea. For most people that are around the product part, because they get to interact with stakeholders most of the time, they eventually get accustomed to the business side, the business, like, right, the side, just not the technical side, but like the product, being a product manager gives you the opportunity to look at things from the best eye view, because most of the time you are working with a cross-functional team. So you have marketing people, design, developers, and then stakeholders and business people. So you tend to have access to insights or bold insight that quite gives you a best eye view of an organization. Now let me speak about these two things on my screen. I'm trying my best so that we don't go beyond time. In Ghana, for you to actually progress in your career in a product team, eventually you you start out and then you become a lead, and then eventually you have to become a manager, right? One thing that I'm looking forward to see in the coming years, now that we have the GDPA actually trying to, we have standards already, but trying to make standards like wide and something that most product teams will adopt. I'm looking forward to it that we'll get to the time where we'll have companies actually creating IC routes, like individual contributor routes, for people that are exceptional in what they do. Be it principal engineers, they can become principal engineers or staff PMs. People that are exceptional in what they do, they have domain expertise. They collaborate with multiple teams to execute and deliver, but don't have a knack for managing people. We should have at least a track that actually gives those people the opportunity to grow, to go up the ladder without eventually having to become managers. Because if you're in Ghana right now and you're in a product team and you are exceptional, but you are not willing to eventually evolve into someone that have to manage other people, then you are stuck. You don't eventually get to maybe get paid more because you are not willing to take on managerial role. So that's one thing that I'm looking forward to, that as our ecosystem matures and we grow, um, business owners or management will eventually, or HR people will eventually consider to actually introduce individual contributor routes for companies so that people can grow in their roles without having to be managing other people if that does not work for them. Then academia and industry. I know this one is a common thing. If we are to do like a simple survey on this call right now, we will have quite a number of people that will actually be saying that we have a rift between academia and industry, especially employers, people that are employing people. They always say that when they get people from mostly the university, they still have to, make room or create a budget to train them for some time for them to be able to give their best to whatever it is that they are doing in industry. The best way we can actually do this, from where I see it, thank God we have GDPA now, and eventually I'm sure we'll have like people in product leaders coming together. What I see that's possible that can be done is that real life product teams that are working in industry could reach out to academia, and then there could be seminars, there could be talks, there could be a look at the curricula that's currently in the university so that there could be much more streamlined path and ways designed for people that right off the bat know that this is what they want to do and they want to get into products. Be it they want to become a designer, developer, whatever it is that they are doing in a product team. So that people start learning and practicing with tools that are being used in industry like Figma and getting accustomed with methodologies like Kanban and Agile and all of that stuff, just to make them much more hireable so that they don't only have theoretical knowledge and are lacking when it comes to application. Then execution reality, right? We all have plans. We have SOPs, right? We have SOPs that are given to you, standard operating procedures whenever you are hired. Everything is, well written on what you should do and what you should not do. Your path or your role is well carved out for you, right? But then when it gets to execution, the reality, one thing, or would I say two things that both are intertwined actually, right? That still bothers us up to this day is soft skills and majorly around communication. We speak about this all the time. Let's communicate the more, let's work a sync, let's call it. We always try to go into meetings, but we'll still have this gap where people in product teams are operating in silos, right? We claim we are running cross-functional teams, but people are still running in silos where the engineer is finding it very difficult or insufficient to actually explain delays to non-technical stakeholders without actually getting defensive. So if there's anything that we need to actually work on in our ecosystem as product people in our product teams is to actually dedicate some time to actually make an effort towards helping teammates to become efficient when it comes to communication. And you see, communication and empathy mostly are tied together. And empathy as a skill is very, very important for people that are building products for other people. Because if you are empathetic, you tend to listen more. And if you listen more without judgment, you are highly likely to uncover insights that will allow you or give you the opportunity to build user experiences that communicate clearly and are helpful to your audience. Think of this like a simple one. Think of this. When you don't have empathy, you always write like a classic 404 page, right? You go to a website, you tap on a button or a link that is not like does not have a page, then you are hit by a what 404. Now that's it. There's no instructions on what you should do next. Should you go back home, or these are the resources available? But you realize that with teams that have empathy at the core for them, a developer, even let's say they don't have a copywriter in the early stages, a developer is highly likely to write something like, "Oh, sorry, we couldn't find that page. Try searching here." They give you options. They just don't leave the users hanging, because in this case they have empathy and they are putting themselves in the shoes of the user and not just building as a developer. So empathy and communication are still the soft skills that I strongly believe that we need to actually work on and develop in our product teams in Ghana. Please ask questions. I'm checking the comment sections and I'm actually expecting to see a lot of questions because I want this to be very interactive as much as it can be, right? So, what makes a strong products, right? What strong product teams enable? This is interchangeable. What is it that strong product teams enable among their teams, and eventually that actually makes them strong. Um, Cross-functional squads will always do better than the teams that are in silos. If you are building a product, your highest chance of success, as I said earlier on, that when I get to the end of my conversation or my presentation, you will realize why I need to spend some time detailing out the people we need in the product team, because eventually they have to work together. For you to actually end up building a team that has a strong product sense, it is always important to have cross-functional teams that are actually kind and actually empathetic, right? Being kind does not mean uh, allowing people to miss deadlines or not holding people accountable. Treating your the people in your product team with kindness is very much important, so that somebody that is, or a team player that is not like a senior or is just starting out, when they find a bug on an issue, they would not be afraid to actually report it. Because see, we are a cross-functional team. We are a team of developers, designers, marketers, and everybody else in a single squad. And we are working towards only one goal. We want to build a successful product. We should not create an atmosphere such that people in our team will find it difficult or will be afraid to actually point out when we have issues. Product teams that plan on building a strong product sense, or plan on building like a team that is, you know, strong and able to take on challenges and build exceptional products, should be able to accommodate the views of other team members, be it the person be a marketer, developer, or a designer. The PM is not like the sole, how will I put it? The overlord of the team. PM should be able to build empathy and listen to their team members. I mean, if you cannot even listen to your team members, will you even listen to your users, the people that are using your product? So yeah, for you to build like a strong team, you should first make sure your team is cross-functional, and you should have a sense of openness, and some sort of tolerance should be given to other team members, and you should speak to team members with some level of respect and kindness, and hold people accountable, and be able to listen so that your team members can be able to contribute in meaningful ways to whatever it is that you guys are building or working on. Now, let me share my final thoughts with you. I believe that if you are building, you should try to cast your net wide, in as much as we all have like an audience, right? We all have like the perfect audience we are building for. When you decide on the audience you want to build for, try your best to prioritize accessibility. There's a common thing that we have in Ghana here with our digital products. Most of our digital products are not designed for people with disabilities. I'm hoping that going forward, now that we have a body like GDPA trying to actually bring standards across board, accessibility will not become an afterthought, but will be very important, and it will be part of the conversation right from the onset, so that we build solutions that are not only technically sound, but like promote inclusivity and are accessible for the people in the audience group that we are targeting and building for. And I would want to also say that let's try our best to celebrate team and promote teamwork and cross-functional works when it comes to building product, than celebrating the lone wolf ideology, so that we can have people, contribute from their own perspective, so that we can have like diversified views and leverage that to build a product that will be well-rounded and will serve our users needs proper and better. Those are my final words for this presentation. But before I leave, I did want you to, if you see my screen currently, the slide I'm sharing, it reads contribute to the 2025 Ghana Tech Ecosystem Survey. Aquile, can you confirm if I'm showing that screen?
Yes, you are.
I'll move on to my last slide. I don't know if that same thing is showing for everybody, because I think I still
Yeah,
see.
you are at contribute to the 2025 Ghana Tech. Yeah, we can see that.
Okay, the reason why I'm asking is because I joined as well on another device, and I'm still seeing career path in the product team. And that's a very old slide.
Yeah,
Like,
it's probably because if you join with LinkedIn, it will go back and then
oh,
you have to move it
oh,
to
okay.
the
So we are.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. All right, cool. So yeah, I'm on my last slide, and then I'm actually appealing to all of us. We don't have like an open data set in Ghana that actually communicates the trends, the tools, the conditions of professionals. Just not just product people, from developers, product people, marketing people, designers across Ghana. So last year we started out something that we started collecting data on trends, working condition, tools, all of that stuff that have to remuneration, salary, and all of that stuff that have to do with like the professionals along the tech value chain in Ghana. You can go to the Code and Coctos website and check out the survey results from the last survey we did. That's the 2024 survey. So we are appealing to all of you to actually contribute to this survey. It's anonymous, so we are not collecting any personal data or tying anything to you. But we did appreciate if you can give us accurate details anonymously, so that we can make these data sets public as we always do by the start of next year, 2026, and as well as try to analyze the insight and share with the public as well. Actually, I think this brings me to the end of my session. I'm now willing to take questions and answer them.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for this insightful session. Um, this has been very thorough. I think you really did justice to the topic. Because every time that we have conversations with builders, I think it's obvious that we don't just need, you know, strong products, or we don't need more products in the market. We need stronger product teams. And I really like the point that you made, especially about the yes man culture, where we like to say, I mean, agree with all the context because of the person who holds the money, or the person who is the founder. And yeah, I think that advocacy very well resounds to the standards that we also share. Sedem also talked about the bane of payments in Ghana, which is mobile money. And I think on that point of that, I think he basically mentioned that if you are looking to build a product in Ghana, or you are looking for Ghanaians to adopt your product, you this is not just a mistake you make, cause some offense to the market. The bulk of the country uses mobile money. And he also highlighted the connectivity reality, um, and then broke down all the career paths, who does what, the product designer, the developer, the analyst, and the marketer. I mentioned that marketers are not the afterthoughts. We should be the voice of demand right from where the product begins. Um, he also mentioned that standards are not optional, which is again resounding with our goal for this platform, and spoke extensively about technical debt and documentation, and the fact that we don't want to lose the data of the people building now. Ghana's tech ecosystem is still very young, even though a lot has already been done. It's still growing. There's still a lot of opportunities to thrive, and so we need to put down the documentation of all the things that are happening, not just with the on the side of the developers. I think I met a marketer here who uses GitHub to document all the marketing strategies that they have been using to advocate for the developer standards of the products that they are marketing. And that is also very reliable. We always seem to think that GitHub is it's just the developer platform, but actually it's for everybody in the product team. And this is something that Sedem also highlighted. And I think finally, he mentioned also that we should like experiment a lot, because we need more policies that would enable the ecosystem to be more innovative. If we have investors in the market, which is something that I personally agree, if we have investors in the market and all they are doing is funding a particular sector, it doesn't really grow the economy. Innovators or product teams, founders, we have to think directly to solving problems, not just problems that will bring in money, well-paying problems. We tend to think of that more than problems that are inclusive. And that's also one thing that Sedem spotlighted about the fact that we don't have a lot of inclusive products in the Ghanaian markets. And we keep mentioning that Ghana's tech ecosystem is still young, but also we have had growing products that have also scaled across markets. And there's the need for us to not just think of it as, oh, we need to solve other things that are not important. Inclusivity is important. Inclusivity should be the bedrock of all the innovation that we design. And I think this has already been very expansive. Thank you very much, Sedem. So now we go to the comment section to understand if we have questions. The first question I see here is okay. Some of you also made some comments in the chat that says Martin is saying documentation has never been my friend. And I believe that this conversation would help you to learn more. So Akino, okay, Oluwa, Akinola Oluwa. I hope I'm not spoiling your name, but thank you for joining. You had a question. What is the role of a product marketer? So then, would you like to take that?
Well, I mean, marketing. Okay, let me try my best and see if I can take it very well. Well, the role of marketer is quite very simple. Marketing these days is normally intertwined with sales. Like most of the times for smaller companies or startups, for the same guy that is managing marketing, is might be the same person building the sales pipeline, right? So the marketer's job is to make sure that whatever is being built is aligned to whoever is trying to sell it to or whoever is trying to market it to. I think that's as simple as that. Aligning in-house implementations with whatever audience that we are trying to appeal to, so that in the end we should be able to sell to them and generate revenue. That's a marketer's job.
Absolutely. And as a marketer, I can just add something to it. I think marketing has to do with the overall experience that the customer, goes through. That, like, for every interactivity that the product has, the marketer ensures that not it communicates exactly the intention of the user. So I think designers and marketers, their role always go hand in hand, because during the design cycle, you really do a lot of user experience conversations. And when you consider the marketing front, you ensure that the products and the marketing language are in sync, and the user always has a seamless experience from, from when they start using the product to whatever communication is put out in the market. So yeah, that's why I totally agree with Sedan when he mentioned that the marketer should not be an afterthought after the product has been built, right from the design thinking process, right from when the designer starts putting down a prototype of how the product should look like. I think marketers have to be engaged in the process, and this is something that is lacking, and we want to ensure that that information is out there. So I believe that has covered your question. If you have further question, you can definitely put that down in the comment section. Elliot is saying that as a product team, is asking that as a product team, what are the challenges in building for the individual that cannot read or does not know English? Sedem.
I mean, good thing is that right now we have. If I'm speaking to Ghana specifically, we have the Ghana NLP, and they've worked on quite they've done some quite amazing job in mapping out the local languages that are spoken within the confines of Ghana, and I think they even done some in Hausa and Yoruba, so covering up a little bit for sub-Saharan Africa. What we need to do is to, I mean, now find ways to actually include much more ways that our products could be interacted with. There could be voice options because then now we could actually translate when somebody speaks like a local language or interact with the app using their local language. So we have the infrastructure being built now. We need to find a way to leverage it and use it in the most efficient ways to reach out to the people we are trying to build for. So the question he asks, all we need to do as product people is to now start thinking about inclusivity. How do we build to accommodate the people that are not like top of the chain, but are still very much important or need the solutions that we are working on. Yeah.
Thank you. And actually, this question brings my attention to a conversation that we had on the All Stars Women in Tech. We had a bunch of women in the design space, and one of them mentioned about building for people in Makola, a feature where, I mean, they can't really, you know, they can't see, I mean, they can't read, right? They can't read the text. So in addition to the text that you put, you know how we have like the home with the
Yeah, you want
logo.
to make your icons much more illustrative so that you are
Yes,
communicating through visual cues and not just text.
exactly.
Yeah, very much
Yeah,
important. And you
yeah,
realize that for apps that are built for people within those demographics, the icons are unnecessarily a bit way larger than what you would have found you will find in your modern app. So there are different ways to actually go about that. But I just feel like now that we have the technology, we could actually go a step further and think about ways that we could give them an opportunity to interact directly using voice, whilst they can just speak in the language they are comfortable with. Yeah.
yeah. I saw this feature by a fintech who was saying that, you remember when there was, okay, that's just, I'm just digressing, but basically making a, a payment or sending money to your friend or your
It's
family
cowrie.
member by
Sure, it's
voice.
cowrie. You saw cowrie. Yeah, they've
Cowrie.
done that. They've
Yeah,
done
it's
some.
also a Ghanaian company, by the way.
I've not tried it out, but then I've seen that yeah, they've done something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay. I believe your question has been answered, Elliot. Morny Harrison is asking, as a student who is trying to break into products as a designer, what are some of the things we need to do while in school in order to secure a job or come up with one?
Well, internships are very valuable. I don't know what other people think, but internships are supposed to serve as a launching pad or ground for you as a student. Because when you are an intern, not much is expected of you. So you have like you know you have how do I put it? Nobody is expecting much of you, so you have the leverage to actually outdo yourself. You get to learn from people that are already in the space. And see, one thing you can never stop doing is, I think, learning the skill of knowing how to learn. Right, it's a very important skill that you want to, master before you even leave school. Because throughout your life cycle, or as a not a product person, as a professional, tools will keep on coming. Things you always have to be in the mode of learning, especially now that you are trying to position yourself as a product manager. You are always listening. You are trying to make inferences and decisions from the staff that you are listening, both in house and outside, with your own team internally and externally. You are trying to gather information and then turn those into requirements that might eventually, translate into features to benefit the people using your app. So, Harrison, your best shot at this is to first get yourself into an internship and make it known to whoever is hiring you what you want to get out of the internship, because most of the time students get to the internship without actually defining clearly what they want out of the internship. But it's a good thing you said you are in design and you want to transition to a product manager. Cool, that's super super cool, because you might have already interfaced with like other product people, because a designer is part of a product team. So make up your mind and know what you want out of an internship. Try get internship with a solid company with a solid product culture and a team, and then never stop learning. There are a lot of resources out there. Google resources. I think now they are on Udemy and Co. A lot of free resources out there. Yep, the world is your
Absolutely.
oyster.
Yeah, I hope that helped you, Morning. We also interviewed the co-founder of ADP List, who is a Ghanaian. That interview is on the Building Bites podcast on YouTube. But then he has a learning community of mentors. So if you need a mentor, I think ADP List is also a valuable platform that you would like to explore. Kelvin, yes, it's all. Kelvin, by the way, is also yeah, yeah, also part of the Ghana Digital Product Awards team. As a newbie PM, how do you deal with a CEO who has been a PM before, taking into consideration changes that have happened in the product space over the years? Yeah.
Yeah, so every CEO actually was originally a PM, because most of the time, no company start out when they are building their first product and hires a PM. That happens, but that's very rare. So most of the time, the first ever PM for whatever product that you eventually are now going to manage was actually the CEO at a point in time, right? And one thing is that almost every PM is a data first person,
Mm,
right? They listen to data. So that your best approach is not to, as I mentioned earlier, you don't try to, push back the opinion of the highest paid person using your emotions. Present data. No business owner or CEOs want to lose revenue. Everybody wants to make money. So if you can present your case back with data that this we are about to do is going to actually contribute to bottom line, you'll be listened to. So it's quite very, very easy. In fact, if your CEO has been a PM before, it's much more easier to actually deal with them. Because the moment you bring the data, yeah, they are data people. So you are not the one saying let's do this. The data is saying we should do it, and they will listen to the data. Yeah.
okay, I hope that really helped you, Kelvin. Thank you for the contribution and the question. Angelina has two questions. The first one is, how can you build AI apps that give a great experience to people with older generation phones? And the second question, what design or engineering patterns do you find support AI app builds that give a great experience to people with older generation phones or without consistent connectivity? I think you mentioned access to connectivity in your presentation. Do you want to touch on that? Okay, for some reason we are unable to hear you, Sedem. So while Sedem comes back on the audio, I would notify him. But then kindly take note of the dates of the
Oh,
How We
sorry.
Build series.
I'm back now.
Okay,
Sorry.
so
What?
Sedem
If
is
you
back.
can just read the question again. I think it's about AI. I just started reading and network.
Yes. So how can you build AI apps that give a great experience to people with older generation phones? And the follow-up is, what design or engineering patterns do you find supports AI app built that gives a great experience to people with older generation phones or without consistent connectivity?
Okay. So I will take the first one, right? How do you build AI solutions that give a great experience to people with much uh, older generation phones? So yeah, I mean we are in the AI world that I mean everything we build and we try to slap AI one way or the other somewhere somehow. So you would want to keep heavy AI computation on a server, right? And only launch results to the phone. A thin client server driven UI. So you want to make sure most of your computations that have to do with the AI is not happening locally, but like it's being done on a server, and the results are being shown on the UI for whoever is using the app, right? That's one way you can go about it. You want to cache responses and then model smartly, right? So that common actions still work offline, or if the person is a poor network. You always want to cache things that you consider much more important if the user have actually done that action or have actually interacted with that already. You want to cache that. It's very, very important. It's not even just about UI. Anything, sorry, it's not only about AI. Any activity that you consider very important that the user takes much more frequently, you want to do your best to cache them so that they try doing that again. It's easier. Then you want to design APIs so that the AI can. I don't know why I'm being like I'm being laughing. Sorry, because whenever we say the word "fail gracefully," I know a colleague of mine hates to hear that, but like, yeah, clearly you want to, when you are designing, you don't always design for successful scenarios. Because there are times that clearly there will be failure. Like APIs might not work the way it has to work because of network constraints. Just like he mentioned that if they don't have like enough, the connectivity is not that strong. So you want to design APIs that can fail gracefully, and you want to make sure you have clear fallbacks, timeouts, and then you have other non-simple AI flows which kick in when the network is slow, right? So you are designing the experience in a way that when the API fails or whatever you're trying to do on the server does not happen because of network connectivity, you have a non-AI flow that kicks in, but you do it so subtly that whoever is using the platform hardly even ever notices that okay, there's a lag. So whilst you do that, I mean network connectivity gets bad, then yeah, you handle the other one on the server side. So yeah, you want to do computations on the server side. Server, most of the things you want to happen on the server. Server driven UI. That's what they call it. Most of the time, team client as well.
Okay, server-driven UI. I hope that really helps for you. And I think if you want to have further conversations about this, we are going to talk more about
No,
it in
I
the rest of this.
think she asked another question now to do about design and engineering. I don't know if you can bring
Yes,
that. Yeah.
yes, that's the question on the screen.
Okay, what design? Oh, I'm trying to read from the comment. I didn't even know you show it up on the screen.
Okay.
What design or engineering patterns do you find support AI builds that give a great experience to people with older generation phones or without consistent connectivity? This one
Yeah.
intertwined with what I said earlier, but you might want to consider asynchronous processing, right? You use background jobs or queue for heavier AI tasks and notify users when it's ready because of connectivity issues. Because you are doing your computations on the server, you don't want to keep them waiting. This is when designers or people, your designers are very, it's important that your designers understand what you are trying to do. If right off the bat you are not able to retain, in a fly, you are not able to retain in a fly whatever computation you are trying to do for your user, it's important that your interface communicates that, and let them know that they will be notified when whatever you are taking care of is done. So asynchronous processing is one way that you can use to actually achieve that. Yep.
Okay.
There's
Thank you
more
very
we can
much.
talk about that. But yeah, I wouldn't mind if the
Yeah.
person reach out to me and we have like, conversation because I'm liking the questions. So I don't want to veer
Yeah.
off.
I was just saying that if she has further questions, she should reach out to you. Set them on LinkedIn. I believe your LinkedIn is right on the LinkedIn Live, so they can just tap on the name and then, yeah. I think this is a very great thinking. Thank you very much for the very important questions that you have asked. And so at this juncture, I would also like to talk about um this the full series of the how we build. This is what we have planned till the GDPA. I believe a new outline is going to be pushed out right after the awards day itself. So we've had the how we the from idea to app, how digital products are built in Ghana. We had the last 2 weeks with Betty. Today we've had a product team. Today was a little bit more technical as compared to yesterday because today we actually wanted to do a deep dive and that's what we did. And so thank you very much, Seda, once again. Um, So in January, which is next month, we are going to have getting people to use your app or platform. We are going into the marketing angle now, the design and marketing angle. So you do not want to miss this particular session. And then in February, we would have designing for everyone, making digital products easy to use. So I believe, Angelina, majority of the questions that you had, you would be answered on this particular session as well. So please keep notes of these dates. And once we have all the confirmed information, we are going to make them available to you on LinkedIn. In the beginning of this session, I introduced the Ghana Product Insider. We want to document Ghana's digital product story. We realized that there's a lot of legacy work that has been done over the past decade. But in the next decade, we want to ensure there's a digital repository of this. And so we are going to have 4 pillars of the Ghana Product Insider. The insights, where you would really have a deep dive expert analysis of what's working in Ghana's digital economy and what's not, directly from product teams. So this is the part where we would also invite you to submit your technical or insights-driven your insight-driven articles to the Ghana Product Insider. The articles are going to be pushed out by next week, so please anticipate. For startups, yes, we are also going to have a feature for startups where you can also tender in your role founder journeys, what you want to talk about your journey, how you have been able to get past a particular challenge that you think is going to be beneficial for people in the same industry or sector. You can submit that story as well. Trends, if you are in a particular field, then you are always up to date on trends. It really helps. So if you want to submit stories on trends as well, that is also going to be accepted. And then overall ecosystem overview for policymakers and basically people who are shaping culture and want to have it documented, we would also accept. So these are the pillars of the Ghana Product Insider. More information are going to be given to you as time goes on. So kindly be checking our LinkedIn, and we would also be publishing on Medium as well, and all our socials. You're on Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And so join us to tell stories from your home city to the world. So this is the QR code for you to keep up to date. This is the link tree. You find all the links to relevant information about the Ghana Digital Product Awards. But most importantly, we have the resources from our speakers in the How We Build series. And in order for us to get it to you, directly to your email, we will need you to register on the Luma. So when you go to the link tree, you are going to find the Luma, which says How We Build. So please register so that we can send the speaker information directly to your email, and so that you can have access to the presentation right after this session. So also the link for the Ghana Product Insider for you to submit your information would also be put on this link tree. And so that is how we wrap up the conversation tonight at the How We Build series, the product team, who does what and why it matters. I want to bring Sedem up on stage again to say a very big thank you to you for your presentation. I think today you have really delivered, even much more than you initially told us. And I'm always excited to have a conversation with you because of the depth of knowledge and the way that you think so differently and analytically. And so thank you once again for your time, and we hope to engage you more. And of course, to also share the Ghana Tech Ecosystem Survey, which, by the way, Building Bias is also a partner of. So please do take a scan of the Ghana Tech Ecosystem Survey. So thank you very much, Sam, for your time. Do you want to say any final words? How can we? I mean, we already know we can reach out to your LinkedIn, but do you have any thing coming up that you want us to be aware of?
All right, thank you, Aquile team, for giving me the opportunity to speak about the product team. And I mean, everybody knows I'm passionate about product, and now I'm passionate
Yeah.
about business as well. Maybe you guys invite me someday to speak about business. So yeah, thank you guys for hosting me, and I'm hoping that we get enough people this year to actually contribute to the survey. As I said, the data is going to be open source and it's going to be available for everybody. We're just trying to create like a common, DB for the professionals working along the tech value chain in Ghana. That's what we seek to achieve. If you want to reach me, you can go to sed.bio, sed.bio. You find my email there and feel free and shoot me an email. We could have a meeting, or I mean, just reach out. You can send me a DM. I'm willing to actually have conversation with people that are interested in products, business, economics, fintech. I like actually exploring stuff. So whatever you are willing to talk about, just reach out and let's have a conversation. Angelina, I wish actually we had enough time. Then we could really talk a lot about your questions. Hopefully, you reach out and we have some really good conversations. Thank you guys for hosting me. Wishing everybody the best of the evening. And I guess we see everybody
Yeah.
at the
From
product.
all of us, thank you for your time. Bye.